HBCU Legends fans all over the world, it's Kyle T. Mosley here with another installment of HBCU Legends, and we have a future legend on the rise with us today. I love her work. If you guys haven't had a chance to read what she throws down every week, she has some major bars out there on Andscape that you have to be able to pay attention to. But the great thing about her, she's not just on the rise. She's one of the premier journalists in the HBCU space. I love to read her all the time. And that's none other than Miss Mia Berry. How you doing, Mia?
Kyle, I'm excited. I'm actually so happy you reached out. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you for that lovely introduction. Hey, I
Yeah,
pray all of that comes into fruition, that future legend. So I'm actually happy to be in the building with the legend himself. I love your work as well. So happy we actually get to connect on your show instead of just
yeah,
passing each other in press boxes. So all is well on my end. I'm excited.
yeah. I was kidding with you earlier, and first, thank you. I was kidding with you earlier, but guys, we were at the Celebration Bowl, and I'm going one way. Mia and Bill Roden going the other way. I'm like, and Bill said, "Hey, hi, I'm Bill." I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm a fan of your work." Then Mia's right there. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh wow, that's Mia." And I was starstruck, guys. I went up. I was like, "That was Mia and Bill. That was me." You know, like Eddie Murphy. Me and Bill. Me and Bill.
Were you shocked at the height difference? Because people are like, oh, I
There's a
didn't.
huge height difference there.
Yeah. People are like, I bet
I was
you
like,
so
"Hey, Bill. Hey,
Bill's
Mia."
Bill's like 6'5", 6'6". Bill's huge. I'm like, no.
He's a gentle giant, you know. But if you ever had a chance to read Bill Roden, you know how great his work is, and he's going to be installed in the Sports Writers Hall of Fame on tomorrow. Correct?
I believe so. Tomorrow, North Carolina A&T. I'm excited for Bill. It's been a
Yeah.
learning from him.
Wow. And we'll talk a little bit more about that first. But Mia, tell everybody about you. I know you're from Detroit. You're a native of the Motown of Motor City, and but talk about you and who Mia Berry actually is, and for the HBCU space.
Well, as you mentioned, Detroit born and raised. A lot of that what up though, a lot of that chill, laid back personality is from Detroit. People are like,
Okay.
oh yeah, that goofiness. I am a product of my city and I am very proud to represent in any way that I can. Is kind of shaped who I am, shaped, what I like, especially when it comes to sports. Motor City, like I always crack jokes, long suffering, it started off so high, I'm in kindergarten, the Pistons winning the NBA championship. I'm at a parade, and then it's
You
been
guys don't know anything. I'm from New Orleans. We are long suffering. Not you guys at
a Super
Detroit.
Bowl.
We won one, but that's it. And no other professional sport in New Orleans has won a championship other than the Saints.
Yeah, but you guys have had some high years. You've had the Chris Paul years. You got Zion right now. You guys have a little some Detroit. Up down. The Lions are good again right now, so that's something
Yeah.
I'm bragging out. I'm like, man, I'm so happy I got my Lions gear when it was on clearance because now they charge you full price for everything. Not you can't be a bandwagon like them. Dick's Sporting Good T-shirts used to be $9.99. They were giving them away. Now they up to like 60. I'm like, ooh.
Really?
My yes, thank God for my wardrobe, but for me, one thing I've always been sports. That's kind of that was my upbringing. I played everything, anything.
Did you?
Yes, I did a little soccer. I did basketball, like that Detroit aggressiveness. Yeah, everybody played basketball at some point in their life in Detroit, even
Yeah.
if your parents just want you to try it. That's like the entryway sport. I did soccer, but that was more so like a church league just to burn energy. But my dad
Okay.
was feeling that Detroit bad boy energy. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make her play basketball." And I already cracked a joke earlier. I'm a little, God ain't give me the couple inches to play. I'm 5 feet, so I love the game. And then going to college, I just stayed around the game, and that's kind of what inspired, the flip into journalism. And being a female athlete, I always was attracted to giving women coverage. because right now it's cool. Like
Yeah.
everybody's talking Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson. Man, growing up, I'm like, why nobody talking about Diana Taurasi? Why Swin Cash not getting anything? Why nobody talking about Tweety? Like
Yeah.
Detroit Shock were the best team in Detroit until they left us and went to Tulsa and then Dallas. And I'm like, why are nobody talking about these women? Like my dad used to give me a little section of the newspaper, like, oh look, they did a little something on your Shock, because he knew that's what I was looking for. So
Yeah.
being that little girl always looking for women's sports, I'm like, you know what? Let me change the space. I want to get into that. And then my love of women's sports transitioned into, HBCU work, because a lot of what I loved about women's sports, providing that coverage for that underrepresented population is what I'm seeing at HBCU. So it's kind of me going from women to HBCU, same things I love about both. The underrated talent in the HBCU ranks, the stories that you can honestly tell to anyone. And I'm like, oh, I love this. So,
Yeah.
it's been a godsend for me. I have it in my bio. Most people know I did not go to an HBCU, unfortunately, but I considered Spelman was actually my top two. It was Notre Dame or Spelman, neck and neck, and Spelman not having sports at that particular time. I'm like, and a little scholarship money too, but ended up going on Notre Dame. So I just feel like this is my full circle. Like God knew that I loved Spelman growing up. I love the Atlanta scene because I have family, D to the A. And
Really?
yes, Detroit. I can't tell you how many times we've hopped in the car and drove from Detroit to Atlanta growing up.
I tell you,
That 12
I
hours
don't
is tough on
I
your back.
don't know if you know this. I'm Morehouse. So I'm Morehouse grad. So, and
I
get this, my number one school, my junior year, guys, in high school, number one school was Notre Dame. My number two school was SC because I always loved them growing up. Notre Dame and SC. Then I went to a college career fair, talked to those guys, and they said, "Hey, it costs X amount of dollars." I said, "Well, I will not be attending your my
scholarship money.
parents can't afford it."
I kid you not, scholarship money. That's one thing I wish I knew a lot more about
Yeah.
in high school, because financials determine a lot. Is who's giving you the most money. And I had great scores. I had a couple scholarships. Probably should have been in the bag a little bit more to fill out more scholarships, but oh yeah. I was attracted to Notre Dame. Skylar Diggins was big.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
against
yeah.
me growing up, I'm like, I didn't know anything about Notre Dame. I saw Skylar Diggins play and said, "Huh, well, it's close enough to my house." My mom always said, "If something happened, y'all need to be able to hop in the car and get to you." So I'm like, well, it falls within her window, so I applied and it worked out. I
How
love
far from Detroit is West Lafayette?
Notre Dame's actually South Bend, so
South
it's
Bend. I'm sorry. Yeah,
you're
I'm thinking
right,
Purdue. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
northern Indiana. It's actually 3 hours, and most of the trip, like 85% of the trip, you are in Michigan. So you just go right all the way across, and then you dip down into Indiana for, like, the last
Okay.
15 minutes.
Right.
So, I we did that drive. I told you, we from the Midwest. For some reason, that means, parents don't believe in planes.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, the Detroit contingent for Spelman, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta. Well, it was just Clark then when I was there, and Mo Brown was
Mhm.
strong, real strong. Uh, Matter of fact, it was the Detroit, the Washington D.C., New York guys, and all of those. Those were the good social clubs that kind of made up what we now known as Freaknik. So,
Listen,
so
it made
yeah,
sense.
I'm giving you yeah, that's a lot of people believe, oh, Freaknik just started on no, it started out of the Morehouse Atlanta University Center connections and those guys getting together and wanting to have this big picnic together, and it became Freaknik after that.
I
Yeah, so
believe it. I believe some wildness. Detroit, New York, we don't really have HBCUs up north. So
right.
that's why it was an education process for me. My aunt went to Kentucky State,
Okay.
And that's because, her high school teacher kinda was really enforcing, opportunities. You don't have to go to, like, Michigan State or Michigan. And, she lived with us for a little bit because she's my dad's baby sister.
Okay.
So, she kinda put HBCUs, and she was like, I went down to Spelman once, and I'm like, "I kinda like it here." I'm like, "Oh." It felt like a mini Detroit, 'cause,
Yeah.
Detroit, you see so many of us, and then you go to maybe different campuses. I'm like, "Y'all do know black people live in this state, right?" I'm like, "Where we at?"
Too funny. Well, look, one of my the guys from New Orleans that I grew up with, Donald Royal. He played basketball for Notre Dame. He was the first guy out of St. Aug High School to go up to play in Notre Dame, and a lot of people didn't know about Notre Dame like I knew about it. I was like, man, it was so great, and he eventually played in the NBA as well. So, but the cool thing about Notre Dame for me was the storied legends from Newt Rockney to Parsegian and all those guys. It was things I grew up watching every Saturday morning. You wanted to see what was happening with Notre Dame, and you also got USC, but I'm a product of HBCUs myself. My mom went to Dillard, my dad went to Southern, and they met at Southern during, I guess, a summer break. And here I am. So anyway,
Hey,
yeah,
that's I love those type of love stories.
yeah, it was pretty cool. And my grandmother, his mother, attended Dillard as well. And it was kind of shocking. And I know I'm kind of hijacking the interview, but it was kind of shocking to me for my graduation at Morehouse. We're standing in front of one of the buildings on that is adjacent to Atlanta University. And she's like, "Yeah, that used to be my classroom I taught in." I was like, "What?" She never told me all these years that she taught at Atlanta University. She graduated, she told me that, but she also taught there. And I passed that classroom so many times of those years, and it was just special to have that connection, man. So it's good. It's good that you had that connection with HBCUs, and but especially what you're doing today when you spotlighted Diamond Johnson just recently, and you also talked about the prospects of HBCU candidates getting into the WNBA. Do you think this is the year we have multiple draft choices, or is Diamond Johnson just the main focus?
I would be surprised if we don't have multiple this year. One thing, I've been covering, HBCU players. I'm like trying to do, give them the promotion that they need. Like
Right.
Jackson State, I was highlighting Amisha Williams Holiday, Angel Jackson, Adriana Evans. She didn't get drafted, but she had the tools and the skill set to get there. This year, the WNBA has shown over the last few years that they are willing to look at these HBCU players, and I think this year, I think we get 2. I think we get Diamond Johnson out of Norfolk.
Okay.
I someone asked me, "What is your unbiased and biased opinion about Diamond?" They're like, "Unbiased, I really feel like she should go no later than middle to late 2nd round." I'm looking at her talent. I'm looking at the way she's improved from that first year with Larry Vickers to her 2nd year. Some people say, "Oh, this person improved." I'm like, no, Diamond actually improved under Vickers. A lot of elements of her game, her mid range is so fluid now. She's
It
become a little
is.
bit more consistent from beyond the arc. She's learning how to feed her teammates. Those throwback passes. I'm like, woo, that ball is moving, and you can see the development. And I w- and I believe people are going to take note of that. Like, this isn't the Diamond Johnson, the 5-star that just did 5 years of college ball, and you get the same player repackaged.
Right.
No, you're getting a better and more improved. So I think Diamond off rip, you know, unbiased, I feel like she should go top of 2nd round. There are not too many guards that I've witnessed that are better than Diamond. The only knock on her that I can really see teams having is her height. But I see Georgia Amore in the 1st round, so I'm like, height's not a problem. Height's not a factor.
Right, right. If you can ball,
You can
it shouldn't
ball,
be it
you
shouldn't
can
be a
ball.
factor, right?
Shouldn't. And Diamond hasn't lost a step in her game whatsoever. The same, she's gotten better, even from NC State. You saw what she did against Maryland. Like, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
let's not act like Diamond. Diamond isn't as great as people are saying she is. So Diamond, and I'm gonna throw it to also Zay Green.
Zay, I saw her preparing for. I guess she's been doing a lot of training recently as well, and I like her game. She's always been a very intense player. Talk about her.
First time I saw Zay Green, I was at Notre Dame. She was a freshman at Tennessee. Tennessee, the Muffin McGraw, Pat Summitt, that whole rivalry. So they came to South Bend, and I remember being a student reporter just in awe of her as a freshman. The way I'm underneath the basket, the way she jumped so high for a rebound, I'm like, girl, don't bring it down, just dunk it next time. Like her, explosiveness just as a raw freshman, and you can tell certain players like, oh, she hasn't even peaked yet. She doesn't even she this is all athleticism. She doesn't
Yeah,
even know the game just yet, and you already I tell people this story all the time about Zay. I can see that greatness. I'm like, "Oh, this girl is gonna be something." And, she had a couple up, down, some injuries, the ACL tears,
hmm
ended up at Pine Bluff, and I'm like, "Hold on, wait, she's in my wheelhouse now. Wait a minute, she's on my coverage player." So, very excited to reunite with her and seeing her relationship with Coach Thornton out at Arkansas Pine, but and really see her confidence come back. I think that's what really took it over the top for Zay. Up and downs, injuries, ACL tears. You don't always you can come back physically, but not a lot of players come back mentally.
mentally, right,
So I was
right.
happy to see, the support that Coach Thornton gave her at UAPB, and for Zay to kind of uh, reintroduce her game to people. I'm like, this is the same Zay I saw at Tennessee. That Zay has that size. You can't really teach size. 6'2" guard, so natural, so fluid with it. The shot, the ability to get to the basket.
Yeah,
So I've been a huge fan of Zay's game. And people, I'm saying these are HBCU prospects. People are like, are they really? Yes. Diamond Johnson, HBCU prospect. Zay, throughout her career, she spent 3 years at Arkansas Pine Bluff, longer than
yeah,
any other stop on her journey. I'm
yeah,
calling her HBCU through and through, and I think both of them tremendous gets. I'd hate saying steals because they're literally the best players I can see. They fit on multiple different teams, so I hate to call them steals, but any team that drafts Diamond or drafts Zay, y'all got a good one. And I'm
yeah.
looking forward to seeing multiple HBC Diamond and Zay playing this year.
What I loved about Diamond, not only that Maryland game,
Whew,
but when she took over this All Star game, that Libby's women's college All Star game in Tampa, that was like icing on the cake. Like, what now can you say that I can't do? And she actually won that game for them. She hit the game winner at 71, but it was just the way she went into that second half, because I think at halftime she only had 4 points.
correct.
Yeah, and then after that, she just took the game over. And you did a good spotlight on her as well. What is it about her character as a player that you would like people to know?
Probably her determination and her focus. Diamond is literally the ultimate competitor, and she isn't a competitor that alienates her teammates. She's a competitor that makes them rise their level. You saw it with Mimi Wheeler talking about how much better Diamond made her. Nia Fields, they all rave about her work ethic and how she's so competitive that it elevates them around, elevates the talent around her, which you don't always get with stars. Sometimes you get a star, and then for that star to shine, everybody else might have to dumb it down a little bit just so they can shine. No, with Diamond, everybody sees her. They're like, okay, we're going to elevate around her. And every single team she's been on, she's elevated the talent. And I think that's what a lot of people should know about her. She's not you hear all these athletes with these issues. Oh, this athlete's selfish. That is not Diamond. Diamond can be on that floor. If she has no points, if she's, dishing it out and facilitating the offense and her teammates are shining, she's happy either way. If that score, as long as that scoreboard says she's winning, there she's good either way. And her
Yeah,
play,
and I heard Coach Vickers kind of addressed the fact that some people were having issue with her scoring production went down this season. But if you have someone like Wheeler there, you, I mean, how much ball can you go around? So I think they complemented one another very, very well.
yes, it's also the HBCU tax, especially when it comes to these professional athletes. There's this inherent bias when it comes to a lot of talent evaluators where they don't
Mm,
always respect the talent level that is in the HBCU. So they're always looking at any minor thing to discredit this, that, or whatever. And I'm like, her talent production looked down, but her assists went up.
yeah.
Like, come on, these players don't need to average 20. I'm seeing first round draft picks that don't mock drafts that aren't averaging 20.
And some who get into the first round and have been first round draft choices in the past who came from P4s or whatever really didn't pan out as well. So one thing we have to be able to look at is what what has that player gone through. And you said there's been some trials and tribulations on both sides for Zay as well as Diamond, but they weathered through those storms and they have really produced great games, and people have highly respect what their abilities are on the court, right?
Absolutely, nothing but resilience with those two. So I'm excited. I have like my little personal watch party going on. I got some stuff pre-written because I'm expecting.
Really?
I would say most HBCU fans kind of expect to go in and witness some history. Come in with that expectation because I think we're going to see two very talented HBCU products hear their name called, and we all should be excited. And go ahead, tune in on that WNBA merch website to see. I don't know which teams we're supporting just yet, but be ready. Be on the lookout.
Be ready for it, right?
Better have
Now,
some wallets ready.
you also covered football as well, and
Mhm.
we talked about HBCU prospects. Let's talk about some HBCU prospects that have been pretty resilient as well, have abundance of talent, but they also been getting that negative press. And the negative press can come from anyone from the haters to the execs who want them to fall down to them. You never know where it's coming from. Shador Sanders as well as Travis Hunter, Heisman Trophy winner. He was a Heisman candidate, in my opinion. Shador should have been up there as well.
Mhm.
Uh, what are your initial takeaways with both of these young men right now going into the draft?
Honestly, I see the HBCU tax once again when it comes to both Shador and Travis. Travis, he won the Heisman at Colorado. Travis should have won the Heisman at Jackson.
He could
Let's
have,
let's
yeah,
let's be real.
yeah.
Travis has been him for a while, and I was happy that the Heisman Trophy finally recognized him at Colorado and that he recognized Jackson. I'm like, thank you, dude, because
Mm-hmm.
this really should have been your award as a freshman. Nothing
Mm.
changed about his game. So Travis, I'm excited to see him as a top two, top three pick. I know he's already up there. I just want to see what position. I would love to see him play both, but at the NFL, it is a lot. But I want to see, does he focus more so on his wide receiver, and then when it comes to like third and long, like special situations, put him on
Mm-hmm.
defense, or do you flip it? Do you have him on defense and then on third and long on offense? You want a little threat,
Right.
bring him out. So I'm kind of curious to see where he ends up in terms of professional. What do they make him pick? Do they kind of do part time one, full time and another? Because I've seen him at both.
Mm-hmm.
Celebration Bowl. I listen. I knew I didn't see the ball, but I knew he came down with it when he went to OT. So
That was a tremendous catch at the back of the end zone, wasn't it?
tremendous catch, and
And
then
the throw by Shador, you got to give him credit.
I'm gonna give Shador. Yes, I'm gonna go right to Shador, and I'm like, I love Shador's game. He's very accurate. He's been accurate even as a freshman.
There
That's
you
one
go.
thing you can't teach when it comes to being a quarterback, accuracy. I feel like a lot of the hate for Shador is just coming from, his father, the natural, I call it swag. and confidence and aura. That's what I call it. Because honestly, do you want a quarterback coming into a program that's coming into a franchise that's
Who's
struggling?
doubting himself, right?
Yeah, like, "Oh, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna learn the ropes, I'm gonna, figure it's gonna be a learning No, I don't
Right.
want that guy. I want a guy that comes in is gonna talk his stuff and say, "You know what? Imma come here, the expectation is to win." I
That's right.
love that energy about him. He's been that way since his freshman year. Before he even played a snap at Jackson, he's like, "I'm here." And I love that despite the negativity and what people have said about him, it hasn't changed. His
Yeah.
confidence is still there, and I feel like that's gonna take him further than, confidence and hustle takes people a lot further than talent has. I've
One
learned that. I've learned that even with my
yeah, one thing I got to give Coach Prime credit. All of his kids, he always instills the confidence. Be confident in who you are. Even when people talk negatively about Shiloh, still Shiloh's pretty confident in who he is and his game. Um, but the support as a father, you have to love that. I know down in New Orleans, people thought Archie Manning was overly protective when it came to Eli and when it came to Peyton, but now he's applauded for doing so. Why is it that Dion is getting such a negative, I guess, narrative on him being that type of father that wants the best for his kids?
Probably because a lot of the people hating on him, they have their own, they have their own old-fashioned beliefs about what a black man is and what a black man is supposed to do, and they're not used
Mm,
to seeing a strong black father figure in a lot of these men's lives, and also, they're also not seeing usually when you do see a black man, a lot of these athletes aren't coming from the status in which Dion has provided for his children. I've seen athletes, coaches and scouts talk about athletes in a way like, "Oh, there's no I need a guy that struggled a bit. I need a guy that has a little extra hunger." And I'm like, extra hunger, struggle? Hold on, that's not a lot of these kids, they very lean on those have like those stereotypes like, "Oh, I need a kid that's working to get his mama out the hood." I'm like, hold on, nah, a lot of these kids, I don't know where that stereotype come from. A lot of these kids,
right.
they come from very middle class families. You're not gonna bite off that, "Oh, get your family out the hood." I mean, they're gonna help mama and dad when they get pros, but I hate like when people bite into those stereotypes. So for one, you see Dion as a strong black man. His kids are not out here with that, "Oh, I gotta get the no." His kids
Mhm.
kind of exude that confidence as well. And a lot of these scouts know they have to approach them in a certain way. You have to approach Dion with the same respect that you would approach Arch Manning. Like,
Right.
oh, he's not going for that. And a
Yeah.
lot of them, they don't wanna give a black man his props some days, like, "Hey."
That is so true because I love the fact when Dion first got into the coaching realm, right, and the first couple of press conferences, he said, "Well, if you call Saban, Coach Saban, why aren't you calling me Coach Prime or Coach Sanders?" And some of those guys took it back because they wanted to be Neon Dion. It was Neon Dion. That's the perception that they had in their head. And I had some many meetings with people at a well-known magazine thought, oh, this was just a gimmick. He's not going to stay at Jackson State. He's not going to do anything. Hmm. He shocked and fooled a lot of people, and I have to give Coach Prime credit for that.
Oh, absolutely. It was actually a pleasure covering Coach Prime. I'm happy that he commanded that respect. There's a lot of
Yes.
times, coaches walk into situations and I'm like, I don't like I'm like, I'm like, that ain't how you pronounce that man's name. I'm like, you could have asked for some clarification. Hold on. I'm like, this man don't coach Grant. It's a lot of like minor, like microaggressions that I'm like that made a media member turn sideways. And I love how, I love how he just advocated for himself. And I love how a lot of these other coaches are also advocating for themselves as well. Like, you see people come correct. I think that's what I loved about that press conference with Coach Prime, is that people
Mhm.
came correct after that. He set the tone for when
You-
it came to press conferences. Like, oh, y'all ain't about, this ain't TMZ.
That's
Like,
right.
this is a professional setting. And, you know, even being young, I say coach. Hey coach, how you doing? It's kind of like, give that person that respect.
And it's just not just respect, but it's an honor to be a coach at that level.
Mhm.
Any level, in my opinion, because you have the responsibility of caring for student athletes, and that means a lot. Their development means a lot. The guidance you provide and the mentorship you provide means a lot, more than anybody can ever imagine. And sometimes those conversations between student athlete and coach can go much further than what you would get into the classroom sector. So those are valuable, valuable times. All right, Mia, and let's last couple of things. Let's talk about this. Um, HBCU coaching is, especially in basketball, I haven't seen anything like this before. From the coaching ranks in basketball on the women's as well as the men's side, it's a evolving amoeba right
Revolving.
now, revolving and evolving right at this time. My alma mater yesterday, I reported Coach Whitler from Morehouse parted ways because of some issues internally. It wasn't anything that was on the field or basketball court, so to speak. But also, you have some changes swapping inside of the SWAC and swapping inside the MEAC and the CIAA. What do you make of all of this?
Okay, I'm gonna say this. This is my unpopular opinion. I love it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to HBCU football, where they're taking more chances on former, NFL athletes, and not, you don't get too many like HBCU through and through coaches getting these opportunities to elevate. I love how the basketball game in HBCU has strictly kind of stayed when it comes to elevating these coaches and giving coaches different opportunities. I
Mm.
love it in that regard, especially Nadine Demond, new head coach of Morgan State, rewarded in that way. Morgan State has always kind of sought out those, DT coaches. You saw it with Damon Wilson, buoy to head coach of a D1. So I actually love this upward movement. And it also
Yeah.
kind of puts these athletic departments on notice of, y'all better treat y'all coaches right. Like treat your coach, treat your girlfriend right
Some
when
of
you
these boards need to do it as well,
there
right?
you go. Treat them right when you have them, because there's always somebody lurking. Somebody
Yeah.
can't wait
Yeah.
to get your coach and treat them right. Give them resources, give them scholarships, give them what they're needed. So I've actually been enjoying the carousel. Some of them have shocked me. Ooh, I'm like, Dante leaving, but it made sense. He's going back with his AD, and then the debacle with FAMU. I'm like, there was so much push and pull on this coach, and he turned out to be Patrick Curry's turned out to be amazing. So I'm happy to see Coach Pat go 5-year contract. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, yeah, and I
Glad.
think he has what the coaching option on a couple of those years, if I'm not mistaken, from listening to the contract. So 5-year contract, couple of options for him. He makes the change to Grambling from FAMU. Then you have a longtime assistant coach who Coach Martin. He's gone over to Alcorn State now, and but we've had some old coaches who have retired, or Sandy Pugh, who left
Oh,
Prairie View.
yeah.
And it's a tremendous loss, in my opinion, not to have someone of her statue still in HBCU basketball. But look at the rise of some of these young, talented coaches like Vernette Skeet down here in Houston with Texas Southern. What's your opinion of what you see with her and Dawn Thornton and those young coaches?
The one thing about young coaches, all they need is a chance. I'm not remiss. Like, Dawn got her big chance when Toya Wilson left Prairie View she took an assistant job, and Dawn was elevated there. So I
Hmm.
really, a lot of these coaches, they know what they're doing. One thing about HBCUs, the type of play, the way to recruit, they are very well equipped, especially someone who's been in the system. I rather, these schools start going after these assistant coaches or these former players that
Right.
understand like what the HBCU is. It also kind of eliminates some of those, wild expectations or the culture shock that some coaches are like, hold on, what is this? And I'm like, your what is this is another coach's dream. Like they'll come in and just finesse, and they'll do
Yeah.
what they have to do. You mentioned Sandy Pugh's retirement. Gotta add in Coach Frida Freeman Jackson, man.
Right.
I think that
Right.
one, that one hit my soul a little bit, just covering those SWAC tournaments. And I'm like, no Coach Frida on the sideline. I'm like, oh, so
Big. There's a big vacancy.
big
Huge.
vacancy. I'm curious to see how they feel it. Obviously, I think a lot of these schools are going to go younger. You know, if you're going to do that longevity of having a coach for 10, 20 years, 15, 20 years, might be good if the coach kind of start off at maybe 30, 40, not 60. I don't know if you're going to get 20 years.
No, I know when we're us old 60-year-olds, we can't hang 20 years, Mia. And I just, I
Yeah.
don't know what else to say. I'm gonna drop the mic on that one, guys. I'm clowning. I'm clowning you. I'm
I'm
clowning
having fun with it, but one thing I actually wish I got a chance to do, Coach Jackson's daughter Bianca was on the coaching staff, so kind of was trying to work through doing that mother-daughter story.
you.
I
Okay.
wouldn't be
Okay.
surprised if Bianca kind of put her, hat in the ring. Coach with her mother, great pedigree. She was a part of Dawn Staley's first national championship.
Right.
So there's some
Well,
experience there.
it's interesting. They've been taking their time, right? And you don't know if AD Cable already has that in the works. You bring up a great point.
You don't know. It can also be, they could go SEAC watching. They could go CIAA. It's a lot of great,
Great. Co-
great coaches that would love the opportunity to move up to a D1 program such as the SWAC and already have close recruiting ties. So I'm curious to see, we saw a movement, Virginia State, Coach Demond went up. I'm curious, are there other, D2 coaches in the works ready? Uh,
yeah. You talking about younger coaches?
younger coaches, it could be kind of older coaches.
Well, I tell you what, there's a good young coach on the staff of Howard who people need to look out for. I'll get his name later. I think it's Anthony. I forgot his last name, but look out for him. He's a great young coach. There's a good young coach at, well, he probably was going to take him with him to Norfolk, who's under Tremaine Jackson over at Coppin as well. So there are some good young coaches that are out there that we have to really pay attention to. And that's a great article for you. Yeah, who are the young up and coming guys?
Listen, I
See,
gotta tell
I'm pitching the article idea to
Hey, I
you.
take all suggestions. I tell people some of my best stories, people have slid in my DMs and said, "Look at this," which I absolutely love. My head's always on a swivel, like, who's the next one? Like,
Yeah,
Norfolk State, I love Coach Fox, Trinice
good
Fox.
coach. Yeah.
Great coach, great recruiter and developer, especially when Diamond Johnson was breaking down and how Fox broke down her game, was in the gym with her doing those extended hours. I think one thing a lot of people kind of overlook development
Hmm.
when it comes to these players, and I wouldn't mind seeing if somebody's gonna jump on her.
Yeah. You know, I was talking to Coach Tamika Reed about
Oh,
her career once before, and people forget what was her specialty over at Jackson State, recruiting. Before she actually, when she left and then she came back, but recruiting is how she cut her teeth. So that's something we need to look at as well. Those connections with high schools and high school coaches and how you're able to develop that pipeline can really open your eyes to talent or young talent that don't get that will not get that spotlight from the national media all the time. So those are things to look at. All right, Mia, let me ask you this: when did you fall in love with sports writing?
I would say, I so went to college. I was pre-med. Like, I'm from
You were
Detroit.
pre-med.
I was
Okay.
pre-med, a first gen college student, the one thing in your head is kinda like, "How do I make my parents proud?" Like, how do you make your family proud and that they
Yeah.
wanna brag about you? And I'm
Right.
like, I didn't like, what is it? Doctor, lawyer, engineer, those top professions a lot of people kinda get steered toward because they're looking at the money. I'm like, "Well, engineer," and I'm like, "Ooh, that's a lot of numbers." Lawyer, that's a lot of reading. Medicine, I kinda like genetics, I love that. It kinda just, to put it
Really?
it makes
Okay.
sense to me. So I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna be a doctor." When I tell you that freshman year, those weeder classes, that Gen Chem, whoo, that hit, and one thing it made me realize, I I used to freelance for the paper, I was a student writer. I used to cover, women's volleyball, and there was a point in time where I'm like, I had an exam the next morning, and I was staying up trying to finish an article about a volleyball player, a volleyball coach, and I at that moment, it taught me that this is what I wanna do. Like,
Wow.
I'm so stressed. Everybody, my roommate's pre-med as well, she's stressed out over this exam. I haven't even opened up the exam materials. I'm not gonna tell y'all what I got on that test. That exam, I can't even tell y'all what I got, it's embarrassing, but when you're sitting down in the midst of all types of chaos, and the one thing that your heart wants to do is sit down and write, and make
Yeah.
sure the article you're writing is good, it's well thought, you're capturing the essence of somebody, that's when I figured out that's kinda what I wanna do.
Yeah.
Like, I was so busy trying to force myself into one thing where the thing that I enjoyed the most, the thing I used as an escape from lab work, it kinda I'm like, "Okay, this is what I wanna do." And I think those type of hard nights where I was struggling in one area and finding relief in sports writing is what really said, "You know what? You should want a career that always makes you feel like this."
I love it. That's great, man. So you got into sports writing at Notre Dame. When did you know you knew you had something that you really was you had the talent that really was going to take you to that next level?
I would say probably when I landed my first internship. Everyone thinks they're great, everyone thinks they're amazing, you're doing all this great work, and then it's like, "Okay, what's next?" And the fact that I was able to score an internship, which, I tell people this all the time, if I had to redo it, I probably wouldn't have went to Notre Dame because they do not have a journalism program.
Really? I didn't know that.
They don't, so a lot of what I was going through at the moment was really self-taught. And it was, me working for the paper, learning stuff. My major is actually in film and television, so
Wow.
a lot of my classmates, they took that degree, they do a lot of video work, they make videos, content creators for, different companies. A couple of them are aspiring screenwriters, so a lot of what it was, I taught myself, and for me to land, like, that first big internship, I'm like, "Oh my god, maybe I am." It kinda gives you that confidence, like, "Maybe I am good at this. Maybe I'm not I'm not as bad as I thought." I knew I was raw, some
Yeah.
people have like that, "Okay, I'm raw." I need a little fine tuning, a little tweaks here and there. So that internship was like that confirmation that, "Okay, you can actually do this." Like, you got my first internship was with the Boston Globe. Boston's a big sports city. So for
That's huge.
I didn't have any previous experience other than working at the paper, so when I got that, I'm like, "Okay, maybe I do have some chops," and then when I got there, it was really, "Okay, learn." Like, what tips? What do I need to know? What
Uh,
advice do you wish you knew when you were my age? So that's kinda where I'm like, "Okay, I can do this," and then Boston turned into LA Times for an internship, and I was way better in LA. It was like my 2nd internship, I kinda knew a lot more. I got to, I was writing so much. They're like, "You can take a day off." I'm like, Oh, I'm having too much fun. What day off? I'm going to the Drew League. I'm going to the Drew League where you see a lot of upcoming kids. Shaquille O'Neal's sons played in the Drew League. Cassius, he went to Duke. I can't think of his last name at the moment, but Duke commit. Jaime Jaquez, he and his sister pulled up to the Drew League and they were playing.
Wow.
So
Wow.
just being in there with the young talent, it's just me kind of going around the city finding stuff that interests me. So, that first internship is what really let me know and gave me the confidence that I can do this professionally and get a little something. Bills are not free.
No, they're not, and they keep coming
Mhm.
every month. And I get I didn't know I had so many uncles named Bill that came every month.
Uncles, I call it child support to the electrical, the rent. I said, taxes, child support to the government. Yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. We got so many similarities. It's so funny. We'll talk offline about that, but
Yes.
that's great. Some great stuff. Um, Advice to young
Journal.
burgeoning journalists to be. What would you tell them to do now?
I kinda alluded to it earlier. The biggest lesson I've learned in my life when it comes to anything, whether journalism, career, is hustle. Because there's been a lot of times where my hustle has taken me further than my talent could at a point in time. People, they're like, "Okay, she's raw as a writer, but I know she's gonna go out and I know she's gonna hustle and she's gonna grab a story. I know she's gonna improve. I know she's gonna ask the right questions." So I'm gonna say always have that hustler's heart. People, some people, they're extremely talented, but they don't have that drive. They don't know how to go out and get it. So that's how you distinguish yourself from others. You got to have that hustle too. You got to be like, okay, well, other people are writing this or other people are doing something similar, but no one can do it like I can. And that's
Right.
one thing I really learned. And it took me a while to learn that because I'm like, oh, shoot, somebody else did this. What can I do differently? And I'm like, okay, that's that hustle, that hustler, that Detroit hustle.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
trying to I always tell people about, sometimes I feel like I'm in a position that I am. I was the young kid. This was my first job out of college, but
Mhm.
I had no experience with HBCUs. And they said that, like in the interview, they laid out a couple reasons why they were worried about me. And I'm
Mhm.
like, true born hustler, like you quick on your feet. You know the answer. Hold on, you worried about this, X, Y, and Z, why you should not be worried about this. Like, look, I can do this. So I would say that hustle and confidence, because there are gonna come a lot of the points where the only person that believes in you is you.
Is you. Yes. Amen. That's
Yeah,
a bar right
that's
there.
the bar. Like you have to be your biggest supporter. You
That's
know,
right.
some days, like, when people are like, "Oh my god, I love your work," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm so surprised," but I'm happy to hear it. But for me, I've always loved my work. I'm always thinking my work is the best thing. It's
It's the
kinda
bomb. Yeah.
yeah, it's kinda cool to hear other people say it. I'm not gonna lie, I love it. It brings a smile to my face, but, that you're gonna hear in this business, you're gonna hear a lot more no's than yeses, so keep
That's right.
that personal confidence in yourself. You can do this. And also that hustle, keep the hustle. And I feel like those 2 things, I'm talking about journalism, but they translate into so many other avenues of life. Regardless of what industry you're in, hustle and confidence are gonna take you far.
Awesome. Beautiful. You're bringing tears to my eyes because I tell guys, my main career is that I'm an executive recruiter and I own my own business for many years as well. But for 33 years of my life, every day I had to get up and I had to find some way to earn money
Mm.
because I didn't have a salary. So as a recruiter, you've got to hustle every day. And when it came to writing, I just had that same mentality, like you said. I just took that same passion. I got to do something every day. I have to be able to put something out every day. I have to talk to people every day. I had to do something that's going to set myself apart. So I agree wholeheartedly with you. And just keep that up. And let's keep on promoting that to these young guys because there's so many stories that have to be told out there. I don't
Yes.
think it's just so few of us getting it out, but more and more we can be able to get more and more people doing it.
Absolutely. Also, for people, I'm only one person. There are over 100 HBCUs, so my
Yeah,
hat to you, my throw off my hat to anybody in this space because I know how hard it is. I know how hard we work and how hard we
yeah,
hustle to get everything. And I'm gonna say this to the young folk: don't be afraid to throw a couple shots at us. Shoot your shot. If you know
yeah,
a story and you know you can write it, go ahead, reach out. Go ahead, pitch it to our editors.
exactly, man. You know,
Oh, freelance money. You can probably afford to get Chipotle next week
exactly.
with guac on the side and some queso. Now you don't have to be or double meat. You don't have to be skimpy with it.
Well, it was like me when I was a young guy. It's okay to get some canned soup.
Yeah, listen, I can't tell you how many times soup. I wasn't ramen, but that Campbell's chunky, that
There you
150,
go. There
that
you go. There you
and a
go.
little grilled cheese, that'll get you through the night.
It'll get you through the night, baby. I was telling my son that he's up in New York at acting school, but I was like, "Hey, man, have you ever heard about soup? It's a great new invention. I know it's not mama's cooking, but you need to try it every day if possible because it's expensive sending you money, man." But anyway, those are just some of the little quirks there. But look, tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Okay, I'm on pretty much every social media platform with the exception of TikTok because I do not have rhythm. I can't all that dancing on beat. That is not me. But on Twitter, you can catch me at
You
I.
don't have rhythm,
Mom,
really?
I'm a little. The paleness kind of got to me. I'm a little too. Yeah, don't have it. I try.
Really?
I can have. I know to keep it shuffle because they be telling me the steps in the song. So yeah. And it's a big group, so I hide. But Twitter at I am Mia Berry, IG M Berry BERRY 3. Reach out to me. I'm usually very responsive. If I'm not, double check, like hit me up as many times as needed. I usually respond. I'm probably just working or doing a lot, but I love talking to people, love giving advice, love helping where I can because I realize I would not be where I am if I
Right.
didn't have, the people who are nice enough and kind enough to talk to me and give me advice along the way. So always open to do that and give back to others. So reach out. I don't bite. I'm nice.
Yeah, it's so important to want to help other people and be able to know that. I hate people who feel like, oh, I've arrived and you're just a peasant. Nobody's a peasant. You know, somebody was where you were at one time. You were there as well. You know, sometimes it's just the God's favor that got you
Amen.
through. But sometimes people have to go through some things that all they need to hear is a kind word or a positive reinforcement here and there. You know, so I'm wholeheartedly with you on that. Mia, I am so proud we had this opportunity to finally chat it up.
Yeah.
But also, I'm proud of all the work you've done. And, it makes me very, it puts a smile on my face every time I get a chance to read something you have that I was like, man, that was such a great story. So keep the storytelling, keep doing what you're doing. And, anything we can do here, let me know. And I tell everybody, like Bernie Mac used to say, now you're part of the HBCU Legends family. I know Andscape will say, hey, Kyle, no, she belongs to us, but now she's a part of our family now, and you
Hey,
can't get rid of us.
listen, you ain't getting rid of me at all. Now, when I come down and I need some food recommendations, trust me, I know who I'm going like.
Well, I'm here. Here, let me know if you need anything from New Orleans to Houston. I got you.
I'm
All right.
coming. I'm eating good.
Okay. I'm Kyle T. Mosley, HBC Legends. That's the fantastic Mia Berry from Andscape. Mia, thank you so much.
Kyle, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. We'll talk offline. Guys, follow us at HBCU Legends on all social media platforms as well as on YouTube to build up our YouTube channel, but also go support an HBCU. And if you are HBCU grad, don't forget, support as an alma mater the alumni associations. I'm Kyle T. Mosley. Have a great one. Take care.